Maybe it's you had like these activities that you used to do and now you've gained a couple pounds and you're not able to do them so much. Or maybe you've developed joint pain, like knee pain or hip pain or back pain. Remember those days when you didn't have that? Or maybe you just want to look and feel like you did 10 to 20 years ago. How many of you would like to look and feel like you did 10 or 20 years ago? Let me hear you say, hell yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So if you would, the timer hasn't started, by the way. Okay, now it has. All right, if you would save your questions till the end, I will answer them as long as I have time, but I have a lot of content that I want to give you. This isn't just a pump up. This is all about learning how to optimize your health and using the science. So I'm going to cover a lot of information. But really what my promise to you is, I want to show you a system to roll back the years, give you that youthful energy without some random supplement that you may find, or outdated procedures or time-consuming regimens. So I want to start with a question though. How many of you know the answer to this? What is the most significant risk factor in all disease? Is it obesity? Is it smoking, sugar, cholesterol, alcohol, toxins, stress, or lack of exercise? All of the above? Okay. If you had to choose one, what would you say? Stress? I heard stress. Sugar. What's that? Toxins? Absolutely. Well, it's actually a trick question because the answer is aging. Aging is the most significant factor in every disease. Think about it this way. How many of you know children that are dying from Alzheimer's or lung cancer or, these are conditions as we age we're more prone and susceptible to. And here are some statistics that I want to show you. This is back in 2019, prior to the pandemic. You can see there are 5,000 deaths in the United States alone per day, from things like heart disease, which is 650,000 people in this year died from heart disease. Cancer, you've got respiratory illness, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes. That's 5,000 people a day are dying from these conditions, and these are considered age-related conditions. So if we're going to talk about aging, first of all, we need to define aging. So tell me a definition of aging. Somebody give me a definition of aging. What is aging? Anyone? You heard?
The decay of the body through the passing of time.
The body is what?
Decay.
Is decaying over time. Good. How about you over there? Shortening of the telomeres. I love that. Let's go more a simple definition of the process of getting older, right? The process, aging is considered the process of getting older. Now, you think about it, does that make sense though? Do we think of a child as aging? Does this child look like it's aging to you? Do you say, oh man, that child is really aging? Or a teenager? They're not aging. See, children are in this phase called the growth and regeneration phase. They're growing up, they're getting bigger, getting stronger, they're getting healthier. That is the growth and regeneration phase. But what happens, there becomes a point in our life when something changes, right? You probably remember a moment in your life where things aren't working like they used to. This is when our body starts to go through that degenerative phase. Do y'all remember what happened that caused you to feel like, man, I'm starting to get older? Do you remember that? You will. If you haven't had that experience, you will. Suddenly you thought you were healthy and young and Superman, Superwoman, and then, man, my back is killing me and it won't go away. My hip is hurting, my knees are bothering me. I can't do the things I used to be able to do. There comes a point in our life when that happens, and that is this degenerative stage that we go through. See, aging it happens at a cellular level. Aging is basically the loss of proper communication. We lose the proper communication. Think of it as a rust that develops on a cell. It becomes rusty. And the reason I say that is because you can actually remove the rust. And I want to show you how to do that today, because it is a process. Epigenetics, you may have heard that word. It's the expression of our health from our genetic code. Now, when we get older, We start to lose that youthful expression that we used to have, and suddenly we go into the degenerative stage. See, aging is an increase in malfunctions while you have a decrease in repairability. So you have more damage than your body can repair. And then that's how you develop these chronic conditions that won't go away. There are tons of conditions of aging. I put just a few of them up here so you can get an idea of what I'm referring to. But there are tons of different conditions, and these are all accelerated by aging. Now, I remember the first time that I felt like I was aging. I had my moment. And I was 41 years old. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was single at the time, and I thought, I need to find a girlfriend. So I tried to figure out what's the best place to do that. How do I do that in Atlanta, in a big city? And I decided, you know what? I want to do those recreational sports. Do you remember recreational sports like softball and there was soccer, volleyball, right? There was all these choices, but there was one on there that I had not done since I was a kid. Can anybody guess what it is? It was dodgeball. How many remember dodgeball when you were a kid? How many just hated dodgeball when you were a kid? Exactly. Yeah, so I thought, gosh, that's a great place. Turns out that was a terrible idea. Because when you take a ball and you smack a girl in the face going 50 miles an hour, it is really difficult to get a date later. I'm just telling you, just some advice. So not only that, but one of the times I went to throw a ball, I landed on my back. And it didn't land that way because I'd slipped or somebody had hit me. I did that because my knee had just collapsed. First time that had ever happened. I literally was on the floor and I couldn't get up. I could not walk. I had to hop off the course to my car and I was done. That was it. So at the time in Atlanta, I had these big physical therapy centers, all right? And I was doing physical rehab and we'd done that for years. And I thought, I sprained my knee. I sprained it, it's gonna be fine. I'll just do some physical therapy and solve the problem. Challenge was, after a few months of doing therapy, it just wasn't resolving itself. It wasn't healing itself, and I didn't know what was causing this to happen. So I eventually said, you know what, I need to visit my local orthopedist. So I went to see this lovely man. I mean, he was so kind and I'm sorry, he was a jerk. But anyway, so I went to this orthopedic, and I walk in there, and basically he did an MRI, and he looks at me and just says, you have a torn ACL. Anybody here have a torn ACL? Right. Yeah, not fun to have, by the way. So he said, you have a torn ACL, and we can repair that. I was like, okay, great. So what did I have in my mind? I thought they would just literally cut open the little front part of the knee and then go in there and take a little, needle and thread, right, and sew it right up. And that's what I thought. Isn't that repairing? And so he said, no, we don't do that. Here's what we do. We're gonna take either part of your hamstring muscle, or we're gonna take cadaver tissue and we're gonna replace it. And I said, I'm sorry, you said repair. If we're in a relationship and we wanna repair that relationship, afterwards, we're still in that relationship. But if we're replacing that relationship, it's a totally different person. So he didn't understand the difference between repair and replace. Anyway, so I decided I thought that was a terrible idea. I'd been in practice for about 15 years at the time. I'd never seen anybody super happy with their knee surgeries. I don't know, I just don't see a lot of great results. I've never seen anybody at 100% after a procedure like that. So I decided, you know what, I am not going to do this. I'm not going to do this procedure. And what I did was I started searching online, and I found something called stem cell therapy. Stem cell therapy, but it was out of Bangkok, Thailand. Now at the time, I had heard about stem cells, but I had heard nothing positive. I'd heard cloning animals and killing babies. Those were the two things I'd heard about stem cell therapy at the time, and I was like, yeah, no thank you, I'm not gonna do that. But I was reading all these positive reviews about these procedures, and they were getting miraculous results. The light's better now, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, it's kind of glaring in my face too. Anyway, so I was seeing they were getting all these great results with joint pain and knee pain, and I knew I couldn't walk around my own physical rehab office with a bad knee. It just didn't make sense. Not good for business, if you know what I mean. So I literally said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance, and I flew to Bangkok, Thailand. Anybody been to Thailand? Yeah, amazing place, right? Yeah. Sanitary conditions are a little questionable, but the place itself is beautiful. So I went to this clinic, this is 2011, and they were doing what's called bone marrow aspirate. They were taking bone marrow out of the hip, and they were re-injecting it into joint problems, whether it be elbow, knee, shoulder, hip, whatever, and they were getting miraculous results. And I sat there and got to interview a lot of their clients because I was there for 3 months. So I had a real good opportunity to see. What I saw was as a miracle, because I'd never seen anybody recover from an injury like one I sustained. So it was just amazing to me, and I was like, you know what? I need to do this. And another thing is, why hadn't I heard about it in Atlanta or in the United States? Why wasn't this procedure available to us? Because all I heard about it was for general research, not for the general public. So I decided I was going to do it, but not in Thailand, just because, I don't know, the sanitary conditions, as well as it's half a world away. Came back to Atlanta, and right at that time, there was a company that came in with something called perinatal tissue. Does anybody know what perinatal tissue is? Right? When a woman's had a baby, it's the tissue that remains that comes out afterwards. So it turns out they could recycle that tissue and then use those cells with somebody completely different, not even related to the family member. And I thought that was amazing. And I said, well, whatever it is, tell me what you can do for my knee. And they said, just inject it in your knee. It'll take about a minute, and that's it. And then give it 4 to 6 weeks, and you should be good as new. Now, of course, I was skeptical and thought, that's bull. That's not going to work. And I kid you not, 4 to 5 weeks later, I felt like I was strong again. I was doing normal activities. After 6 weeks, I was completely healed. Completely healed. I could do everything I used to do prior to my injury. And a lot of times when I do this presentation, people will say, well, how long did it last? How long did that last? Well, I did one shot, and it's been 13 years, and I've never had knee surgery and never needed knee surgery again. And I'm a runner. I'm an avid, crazy pickleballer. If you like pickleball anyway. Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is it cured my problem for one shot, where I before was going to have to go through rehab, pain, and surgery, which I did not want to do. So that was my introduction to this longevity space, and I'm going to share with you more about how to do this all for yourself. So let's jump ahead. So if I didn't introduce myself, my name's Dr. Ross Carter. I've been working with people's biological age, which is where we try to take your age and reverse it, make it younger than you are, improve your mental clarity, and help with joint pain is most common. I have a fellowship in stem cell therapy that I received in 2017 from the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. Anybody know this guy? I'm sorry, let's try that again. If you know this guy, say hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, this is Tony Robbins. He has a book that came out last year called Life Force. Anybody look at it, seen it? Amazing book, right? It's huge, but I want to share with you a part of that book that's interesting. In the acknowledgement section, you'll see my name. Yay, I know, thank you. So I have had the privilege to work with Tony for about 6 years. I can't tell you obviously what I do with him, just that he's put me on part of his amazing healing team. So just so you know, I've been able to work with some of the best in the world doing my procedures. I've written 3 best-selling books. The latest one I mentioned earlier, it's Reprogramming Youth. Here is a copy of it that I will be giving away at the end. And I will be doing a book signing after this presentation, so if you'd like to get a signed copy of the book, come up and see me afterwards. I'll be at a booth somewhere, wherever they put me. So I want to start with 3 myths about aging. Here are 3 myths that people commonly have. Aging is inevitable. Most people think that. It's inevitable. You can't do anything about it. And let me explain how that's not exactly true. There's 2 types of aging. We have aging that is based on your age in terms of your chronological years. We look at your ID, we can tell how many years you've been around. But the most important one is biological aging. What does that mean? It's how old your cells are functioning. What do you think is more important? What it says on your ID or how old your cells are functioning, right? So that's what we need to look at, is how to reverse this biological aging. And research has shown us there are new ways to do these, accomplish this. I'm going to share with you those in a minute. The second myth is living a long time leads to a diminished quality of life. How many of you want to live past 80? Raise your hands. Okay, cool. Who does not want to live past 80? Anybody volunteer? Yeah, I see you over there. Okay. But here's what I've found. A lot of people, when they say they don't want to live past 80, is because they think they'll have a diminished quality of life and they'll be a burden to some other people that have to take care of them. Because here's the facts. These are old people. They don't look very happy. They don't look like they're enjoying quality life. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to go down that way, right? But what if you thought of aging differently? See, because 40% of us will not even reach 80 years old. 40%. So this side of the audience won't even make 80. 50% of us after 65 will develop a disability. So think about it this way. How many of you have had a parent or a grandparent that developed some type of disability when they got older? Raise your hands. About half of you. Which means that you are twice as likely genetically to develop a disability as well. Just so you know that. But what if this was the reality of getting older? What if your 80 looked like this? See, these people did not just hope it worked, hope it happened. They took a chance, they did something to keep and preserve their health as long as possible. And that's what they look like at 80 and 90 years old. See, the good news is there's ways to use science to extend our lifespan, but most importantly, our health span, how long we're healthy when we're alive. And the third myth is that if there were truly ways to slow down aging, you would have heard about it already, or it would have been posted on social media, or your doctor would have told you about it. Well, let me tell you a little thing about doctors. They take an oath that says that they will do no harm. So what does that mean? They're going to do whatever it takes to try to not harm you. Now, when science discovers this amazing solution for a problem, it's still considered experimental. Now, why would a doctor want to use experimental procedures? Because there's a chance of risk of injury. So they're not going to usually recommend anything considered experimental because it hasn't been tested for years. So you will probably, most of the time, doctors won't use or mention anything related that for at least 10 years. It can be a long time. So you need to keep up with the current data and the current trends and the things that are actually being discovered right now. So how old are you now? How are you aging? Is my question. How are you aging down? You think you're doing well? Let's do some tests. Please, everybody, stand up. Stand up, please. All right, so what we're going to do is a simple age test. I'm going to have you pull up one leg, like this, don't touch anything. All right, and then I want you to close your eyes and count to 5. Close your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're going down like dominoes. Okay, okay, open your eyes. Let's do the other leg. Raise up your leg. Raise up your leg. And close your eyes. Close your eyes. Oh, she's going down. You guys are not doing so well on my test here. Okay, all right, stop. All right, we're gonna do something really quick. I wanna test your nitric oxide. I brought some test strips. So if you guys could quickly come up to the front here and grab one of these little things. Yeah, my wife will help me. She's gonna take them. So take one of those quickly. All right, we only have a limited number. We have 25 of those, so please take just one. And don't do anything yet. Hurry up, we're running low. Oh, she's got one. She got one. Oh, are we out? Are we out? One more, and we got it. Good. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You look great. All right. So what you're gonna do? You can have a seat.
You got the pee on this?
Because you guys are almost fell down when you closed your eyes. It was like dominoes falling all over the place. All right, so now we're going to test your nitric oxide, which is an indication of aging. I want you to take the padded end you see on the pad, right? There's a little pad. You're going to put that on your tongue. Hold on, and you're going to hold it there for 10 seconds. So I'm going to count it off. We'll do it all together. Put it on your tongue now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. Take it out of your mouth. And here's what we want to see. There's a color on the screen. How did you do? Are you doing great? Who's my optimal? Raise your hand if you're in the optimal range, if it's a dark purple. Nobody? Oh my goodness. How about okay? Who are my okay? My okay people? There's only 2?
It's broken.
All right. Huh?
It's broken.
It's broken. Yours didn't work right.
No, really bad.
Those are brand new. All right, so the rest of you are not doing so well, is that
It's
right?
good, it's okay.
Yeah, okay, so what does that mean? It doesn't mean to go call 911 yet. It means that you need to pay attention to your cardiovascular system. What did I say was the #1 killer of North Americans is? Cardiovascular disease, right? So nitric oxide deficiencies lead to heart disease, diabetes, low energy, erectile dysfunction, vision problems, stress, low energy. This aging accelerates this process. So if you have accelerated aging, you're not going to have as much nitric oxide as you should. So I'm going to tell you now, because I have short time, I'm going to show you the 5 steps to slow this process and even reverse your age. If you want to decrease your age by years, I'm going to show you how to do it. The first step is to stay informed, educated, and engaged. You got to know what's going on in the world, man. This is a lifelong learning. You are here learning today, which is part of that. And that's awesome, because I'm teaching you some cool stuff. But think about it. Just a year ago, AI was brand new. And now it's part of our daily lives for a lot of us. AI, but if you've stayed away from the computer or you don't want to learn things, you may think, I haven't touched AI, I haven't done anything with AI. You need to stay up with what's going on with the world, especially when it comes to your health. There may be a solution to the problem that you're suffering that's already been discovered, but you don't know about it because you're waiting for your doctor to tell you. Keep up with what's going on in the world. The next thing is community. This is a community. These are people like-minded that want to stay healthy and strong as long as possible. You connect with people that are in your community and work with experts. If you want to accomplish anything, you can try to figure it out on your own. We've all done that, right? And it always costs more time, more money, and more effort. Work with somebody who's an expert at accomplishing what you want to accomplish. Don't go to a jack of all trades. Go to specialists. Specialists are where you need to go. You want to decrease your age? Work with an age specialist. You want to work on your blood pressure? Work with somebody that specializes in these things. So work with experts. The second key is explore the new longevity sciences. Things like senolytics. Now, some of you don't know what a senescent cell is, but as we get older, we develop these cells that don't die. All of our cells are supposed to pop, what is it called? They self-destruct. But sometimes some of those cells just don't do that. They stay dormant, and then they produce a lot of inflammation. And they build up over time, and then we develop this chronic inflammation because we have all these, they're called zombie cells. So we get all these zombie cells in our body, and then we're producing all this inflammation. There are things called senolytics, which help to minimize or eliminate these zombie cells in our body. If you haven't heard about senolytics or started using senolytics, you need to start that now. Look into what senolytics are and how they can help you. They're supplements and medications. The next thing is the power of peptides. A lot of, you've probably seen presentations all about peptides, which is fantastic. You need to learn about peptides because they're very, very powerful. What is a peptide? What is a peptide? It's in essence, it's a short protein. It's a short protein. It's made of amino acids, but it's shorter than a protein. and it signals your body to do something. Like insulin is a peptide. It signals the body to take the sugar out of the blood, right? So peptides could be used for reducing inflammation, building muscle mass, helping libido, working with your memory and sleep and slow aging. If you haven't, I'm just curious, how many of you currently use a peptide? Raise your hands. All right, we got like 30%. You guys need to look into peptides. They're really awesome and they're very, very effective. So start looking at peptides, you guys. Here's some 5 examples. There's tons of them. I'm just giving you some basic level ones. Epitalon, thymosin beta 4, GHK, which is great for skin, FOXO4, and BPC 157, which is kind of the most common one that you've heard of. You'll normally start with that one. Harness the power of stem cells. I kind of gave you a story about my own experience with stem cells, but what are stem cells? Stem cells and something called exosomes are really the frontier of healthcare currently. The ability of a stem cell is amazing. They're really the master cell of the body because they can become other types of cells or tissue. See, what happens as we get older is our stem cells go down. I'll show you a graph. When we're young and a baby, 1 in 10,000 of your cells is a stem cell. So it can create tissue. Now, what happens when you're 50 like me? I got 1 in 400,000 is a stem cell. Do you know that percentage is 1% of what I had so I've lost 99% of my repairability that I had as a child. Think about it for yourself. You're 70, you're on fumes, dude. But what I'm saying is this is one of the reasons why we age, is our stem cell population is not there anymore and it decreases dramatically. And you can use stem cells, your own or someone else's, for joint conditions, which is the most common. This is one of the procedures that we do a lot, joint conditions. If you have knee pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, joint pain, you can look into stem cell therapy as a solution because it can do that minimally invasive as well, without surgery. And there are many conditions that stem cells are being used for. This is kind of a pie graph of what I found that they were doing with stem cells. They're using it for anti-aging, which we'll share in a minute. But Parkinson's, diabetes, hair loss, that's a big one right now, skin care. So stem cell therapies can be used for a lot of different conditions that many people are suffering from. Now, I want to talk about something called stem cell exosomes. See, you got to understand a stem cell, the way it functions. When you're using stem cells as a therapy, what it does is this. It goes through the body, assesses the damage, and it sends out these little particles, little instructions in a packet, in a little ball, to your body, your cells, and it gives instructions on what they're supposed to do. I'll show you this on a picture. You see this image? The right has a big stem cell. What it's doing is it's saying, okay, we need these things to repair. So it packages the information into this little tiny bubble, and that protects it. And then it sends it throughout the body, and it goes to a target cell. The target cell reads the information and then produces whatever it's supposed to do. Usually it's either proteins or enzymes. So that's how stem cells function. It's actually the exosome that causes the therapeutic response. It's not the stem cell itself. It's important because most people, I'll give you an example. What I thought when I injected my knee with stem cells is that those stem cells were creating were turning into cartilage. That's not what happened. What they did was they stimulated my own cartilage repair cells to turn back on, because they as they get older, they turn back on briefly and repair the cartilage of my own cells. That's how they function. And I believe that stem cell exosomes are really the future of longevity because they can change the epigenetic expression of your youth. They turn back on your youthfulness. And I'll show you a picture of that. And here's how I can prove that. There's a procedure called heterochronic parabiosis. Basically, it's where you take a young animal, and suture their blood systems together. And here's what happens when you do that. The old animal starts to become younger in all its tissue lines. Now, if a cell, as it aged, got damaged, that would be impossible. See, what we found out and we determined was that cells don't actually age. They just function differently. You can change the function of a cell that's acting a certain age to a younger version of itself. You can they proved 10 years ago you could take an old skin cell and convert it back into an embryonic state. The same cell, and it can live out a lifespan. So what I'm trying to tell you is your cells don't actually age. They just function differently. And you can use these new technologies like stem cells and exosomes to reprogram the youthfulness back into your cells. I'll give you an example on skin. This gentleman was at a party. He had a gas fire. He tried to put it out with water. As you see, it didn't work out too well. He had second-degree burns. Now, well, he was fortunate in that at the same party was a gentleman that owned a laboratory that made these stem cell exosomes, and they sprayed it on his face every day. And look at what happened after 7 days. Pretty miraculous. But look what happens after 2 months of time. It is as if he had never been injured. Now, look at his skin. That type of skin, what happens when it gets damaged? You develop scarring and keloids. Can you see any scarring or keloids on that picture? It's a miracle. Imagine if that did that on the outside of your body, what it could do on the inside of your body too. Cells are cells. You can use these internally to also do this kind of thing as well. I've worked with some famous celebrities. I've mentioned, this is Diamond Dallas Page, if anybody was a fan of wrestling back in the day. One fan, okay. Forbes Riley. And we need to harness these stem cells and these exosomes to really reprogram our youthfulness. The third step here is embrace a diet of reduction. I'm not here to teach you where you get your protein. You can get it from vegetables, you can get it from meat, I don't care. But what I do care about is reduction, because most people don't teach this. We need to talk about reducing your sugars, getting out of your trans fats, minimizing your seed oils, your sodium, your refined grains, your alcohol, processed foods, fast foods, artificial sweeteners, and the amount of foods that we eat. You know, when you go to dinner and you get this massive portion that can feed like 4 homeless people, you know what I'm talking about, right? We need to decrease the amount of foods that we eat. Decrease that, especially at dinner time. Eat a big dinner, eat a big lunch, but minimize your dinners. So reduce your diet. The fourth thing is allow your body the time to heal. What does that mean? It means to sleep great every night. How many of you, let's be honest now, here's a quiz. How many of you in the last 7 days have had one night or more where you didn't sleep that well, you woke up earlier than you should, you didn't feel that good? Raise your hands if you had at least one night or more. Come on, raise your hands, don't lie. Okay, exactly. Most of you have had a bad night or two. That's not okay. It is common to have sleep problems, but it is not normal. If you're not sleeping, you need to resolve it, because guess what? All these biohacking tools will not function. None of them will work if you're not sleeping. If you don't sleep, it doesn't matter what supplement you take. It doesn't matter what red light therapy or all the 50 other biohacks. Until you start sleeping, you're not going to be able to optimize your health. You have to make that a priority, because that's where all the healing happens, is when you are asleep. So if you're not getting proper sleep, you need to fix that. How many of you slept great when you were a kid but don't sleep so good now? Right, what happened, right? So Big Pharma thinks that, you know, the solution for every problem is drugs, right? I mean, some of you might remember this commercial. This is from Lunesta. Anybody remember this advertisement? They actually had a TV commercial. Let's see if I can get this to play. Here. There.
If you experience difficulty sleeping, try Lunesta. It's the sleep aid that will help you get the rest you need. Lunesta may not be for you if you have a fear of butterflies. But face it, if you're scared of a little butterfly, a sleep disorder is the least of your problems. Testosterone is what you need. You should not take Lunesta if you sleep through an open window. Lunesta. It's not for little wussy boys.
Okay, maybe that wasn't the original commercial, but you might remember that. Look, these things are deadly and they're addictive. I know. I was addicted to sleep medicine, especially Lunesta. I actually created a course on how to get over addiction, but that's not what this is about. But I understand how bad it can be. I almost committed suicide because of lack of sleep. So it's a serious problem. But when you're looking at your sleep, you need to look at your genetics, your biochemistry, and your mindset. Those are critical to pay attention to. And the fifth step I wanted to see is assess where you are now. Where are you right now? You can start just taking random things, but how do you know if it's working? You need to know where you are right now. Decipher your genetic blueprint. I imagine some of you have already done a genetic test in the last year or so. How many have done a genetic test in a year? All right, we need to work on that. First thing you guys should do is start do an advanced genetic test. Look at what the way you're built. It's so important. There's 22,000 genes in your body, and 22 of those genes really deal with longevity. It would be a good thing to look at, right? Heart disease, you can look at the genetics of heart disease and find out if you're prone to heart disease. Would that be a good thing to know? Absolutely. So get your DNA test. It checks your mood, behavior, immunity, diet, sleep, hormones, and much more. Determine your biological age. How old are you? I tested you guys with some simple tests. Y'all didn't do so good. I'm just telling you, I was watching you just, come on. You gotta work on your biological age. What is that though? You can now test it. We can do DNA tests to determine how old your body is functioning, because that's your biological age. Because remember, that is the number one risk factor for all disease, is your age and how fast you're aging. And there's these clocks called Horvath clocks, and they can help you determine it. And then we can also look at how fast you're aging, your speed of aging. And you can look at it, does it 1 year equal 1 year, or does it 1.5 years equal 1 year? How fast are you aging right now? And this will show us and tell us how you're doing with your current health program. Is it working? Is it not working? Also now, look at your hormones. How many of you get tested? You test your hormones every 6 months. Really? Do you know your hormones tell you so much about your body? Think about it. Your weight, your fatigue, mood swings, muscle loss, sexual function. That's all related to your hormones, and you guys aren't testing it. It's a simple blood test. Get your hormones tested. And then also look at nutritional deficiencies. Are you deficient in your nutrition? You got to test these things on every 6 months at a minimum. It's recommended quarterly, but at least every 6 months. Do your hormones, check your nutrition. The path forward. You know, this is a journey. It is not a destination. Being here is not just, hey, I came to this event and it was fun, I had a good time. This is a journey to optimize your health and continue that process forward. Continue learning, continue applying all these things, because you have lots of choices out there. You have a choice of whether to eat fried food or eat something healthy. What choices are you going to make? Work with experts that'll help you with that. Like I mentioned before, you have a community of people that can help support you, and work with people that will guide you to accomplish what you want to go accomplish. Should you go to your general practitioner to learn how to personal train? No. You go to a personal trainer if you want to learn those things, right? So stay informed. I've worked with some celebrities. I don't have time to go through them, but you know, this is Tony and me. So what is your current, so where do you go from here? Here's my recommendation. You need a starting point. Let's find out something about you. How old's your biological age? I can do a saliva test and find out in 2 weeks how old you are right now, based on your genetics. It's $199 if you're interested in doing it. Plus, I will do a consultation with you where I find out what's going on with you, any specific challenges that you have, and create a plan. All of that for $199 if you want to at least know where to go from where you are right now. So that is a DNA age test. You can scan it or go to docyouth.com, docyouth.com. Look at that. I am doing so good on time. All right, I will take a question. Oops, let me go back. Oops. Can you bring that back up? Thank you. Question. Yes. Right there in the middle. Yep. Hi.
Thank you so much. This
You're
is
welcome.
very educating. Can you talk a little bit more about peptides?
Well, what specifically do you want to know about peptides?
How do you start? How do you find them? How often do you take
Here's
them?
the
Which
easiest way to
kind?
start with peptides. Look at what you want to accomplish or what you're suffering from, and then put that in, and then see what peptides are being used to help treat that condition or to enhance that whatever you're looking to accomplish. So that's the easiest way to start, is just to do a search online. Say I have sexual dysfunction. Okay, that's PT141, bremelanotide. That's good for that, for example. That's true, by the way. So, just in case. So you basically just look at your condition and then look at the peptides that tend to be related to that. There'll be a lot of different things that'll say, these are the ones that work really great for that condition. That's how we usually do it. It's the easiest way.
Okay. And with your testing, all that, when you do the consultation and the blood work and all that, that comes with all that?
That we do, once we figure out what's going on with your age, then we recommend different blood tests to figure out what you need. Like we'll test your hormones, we test your nutrition, we recommend medications or peptides or whatever it is that your body needs to optimize yourself. There's normal, abnormal, right? And then there's optimal, and we go for optimal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, in the back.
So my nitric oxide was white.
Was white.
Really bad
Okay.
on the chart. So how do
Yes.
I fix that?
Well, that has to do a lot with your diet. You can add beets to your diet, which is good. There are supplements you can start taking, which will increase your nitric oxide, which is usually the route most people take. So there's lozenges. Just look up on Amazon, it sells tons of stuff. But there are different companies that sell nitric oxide tablets to improve your nitric oxide, and it'll help with your cardiovascular system. Really simple. All right, so I think I'm out of time. All right, so let's end this easily. On the count of three, if you enjoyed the presentation, let me hear you say hell yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Hell yeah!
Thank you. Oh, I'll be signing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right there.
All right,
Right there.
first question. What?
The signing the book is in
I'll be signing the books over here, and you're the first one, so I'm going to give you a free one.
Woo!
Huh? Yeah. You can come get it signed though, okay? Thank you guys.
In the table. It will be there. That table next door.
Oh, over there.
The white table.
Ah, okay. And for the test?
Any of the people want to take pictures with him?
Yeah, in the table.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. Let me stop this.